And a campaign has now been launched to advocate for climate change actions to be implemented in Nigeria and other African countries. It is meant to address the impact of climate change on vulnerable populations. Kemi Balogun has more details.
Women and girls experience the greatest impacts of climate change, amplifying existing gender inequalities and posing unique threats to their livelihoods, health, and safety. Over the years, efforts to fight climate change and assist vulnerable countries to cope with its impact have intensified. But these impacts are still being felt by everyone, particularly the vulnerable groups.
As African women and girls, we strongly believe that we have issues when it comes to the issues of climate change, and therefore we have mobilized the whole of African continent, and we have the Charter of Demands to present to the Conference of Parties, but also to the UNFCCC to say that this is what we want on the African continent. We want to happen.
As the impact of climate change continues to take a toll on vulnerable continents across the world, urgent actions are needed to reverse the trend to pave way for a more sustainable development. This meeting, championed by the Women Environmental Program and Christian Aid, wants to make this happen through a list of 6 expectations and demands ahead of the United Nations 27th Climate Change Conference.
At the same time, we want to see how can women especially be at the negotiating table, because if you look at most of the continent, especially in Africa, the national focal points that we have are just men, and we are talking about decisions, we're talking about policies. If you are not at the policy table, if you are not at the negotiating table, you will not be able to understand favorably the issues that affect the gender concern. And so these are several issues that we are going to take to COP27.
All regions of the world are affected by the negative impacts of climate change, but developing nations are mostly affected due to their low adaptive capacity. The push here is to ensure that this situation changes by raising voices at the Climate Change Summit taking place November in Egypt. Kemi Balogun, TVC News, Abuja.